Hello, welcome back to the Ineffableelse. Welcome to another video in our series about Jupiter. Today we will be exploring Jupiter in Cancer, and this will also apply to you personally if you have Jupiter in the 4th house or Jupiter conjunct the Moon. With all themes involving Cancer, the Moon, the 4th house, we're talking about emotions, we're talking about family, and we're talking about healing. These are the waters of your body. Jupiter, if you'd like to watch an introduction to Jupiter, I have one. It's about expansion. It's about drawing attention to an area and about gifting us with a blessing in that particular area, even though it may seem hard. This is about an expansion and an acceptance of the emotional experience. This isn't about allowing our emotions to control us and rule our lives. They're already doing that. You don't need help with that. This isn't about then repressing and pushing them down and pretending they don't exist. They do. This is about accepting them and making sure they're allowed to flow out of the body. Really encourage you, before anything else, to get into the body, feel the tension, and realize any given tension within the body is related to an emotion, any sickness, any tumor. Any dense and heavy energy you have stored within your body are all to do with emotions that have not been allowed to flow. There is a sort of method in order to do this thing, which is deep and beyond your control and beyond any kind of methodology. But in order to begin the process, you first can have this stage of compassion, understanding why your emotions were suppressed, why they were blocked, why previous generations didn't think it was safe to express emotions. We come from a difficult past. Although we may be, as I know most people who watch my channel, we come from European roots, and we have this idea that we are somehow extremely privileged compared to other parts of the world, but it wasn't that long ago that we were living in squalor just the same, and being taken advantage of by the top 1%. Who were also miserable and not accepting their own emotions. So it's been a pretty depressing time for the whole world when even the top 1%, who are supposedly, the creme de la creme, were also extremely miserable and depressed. We have all of this within our DNA, within our bodies, within our minds. It's interesting when you look back at your generations, even your grandparents, you only have 16% of their DNA within your body physically. But you may be carrying almost 100% of their beliefs and their fears and their worries if they got passed down directly through family member to family member. And this goes for addictions as well. Substance abuse, these kind of things, we see them as hereditary. Really, it's just a hereditary trait for trying to avoid how we really feel. There's a aversion to emotions, and there's a latching on to the aversion of a Buddhist ideology of transcending emotions. But most people will use that as an excuse to just repress further. It's just another way of labelling a process that we've already been very, very adept at doing. You speak to any grandparent who lived through the Second World War or through the famine or through civil war, they will all say how bad it was to cry. You didn't want to upset people, you didn't want to upset others, you didn't want to bring the energy down. It was all about, there was a kind of toxic positivity in the air all the time to try and keep people's spirits up and not allow ourselves to get dragged down into the absolute depression of the times. And you can look at millennial people who were born during Pluto in Scorpio and say, well, what have they got to complain about? Well, we've been given that baggage to finally open. It's like a gift from past generations. Like, haven't been able to open this one, haven't been quite able to deal with this, so this is for you. And now we're unpacking that, and it's quite unsettling for others, as a Scorpio archetype always is. Jupiter is benevolent, it's loving, it's compassionate, and it sees above and beyond. It may not have what you imagine to be your best interests at heart, but it does. But your best interests are to do with feeling, releasing, and allowing emotion to just flow out. It's doesn't mean spilling out and attacking your neighbour and allowing this kind of rage to just pour out onto the masses, as someone like Hitler just had this huge pile of toxic waste emotionally inside of him that just spewed out everywhere. No, just feel it, and you're going to cry. It's an emotional thing. But that doesn't mean it then controls your life and it stops you being able to live. Emotions don't last that long. They're just like a trapped energy that kind of sits in there, but there's this amazing human capacity to just hold it down, hold it in, hold it back for the sake of the family, for the sake of my friends. When you do something for the sake of other people, which is to the detriment of yourself, you end up hating those people. You end up full of resentment, full of hatred, and that is your gift to the next generation. What do you want to give them? What would you like the next generation to have? Maybe we haven't got quite the same level of wealth as our boomer parents may have had, but we can give them something else, and that is a clean slate, an emotionally clean slate in which they are allowed to feel whatever they feel, and it just flows out of them, and we don't, as parents, identify with their suffering and think we need to somehow suppress it because the neighbour might hear and may report us. This kind of paranoia and self-deception it's really, really powerful and really prevalent in society, and it has been for generations and generations. So it's time to check your privilege by allowing that feeling of privilege, that feeling of safety, security, and nothing can touch me, that to filter out and trickle through. I've had it with people even on the land that I live on, where they come to me with this kind of fearful eye, this kind of toxic natural defensiveness and a big barrier, and I just give a big beaming smile and just see them as my brother or sister. Just, we are who we are, we've all got our own shit that we're dealing with, and I see you. And they smile back, and then the energy is just dissipated, and it's peaceful. It's such a important thing to acknowledge that we should be the change we want to see. Nothing outside is going to change until we change ourselves. And thankfully, the only thing we have control over changing is ourselves. But this has a wonderful domino effect, because at the heart of every human there is a desire for peace. There are just much louder voices that tell them, you can't have peace yet. You can't, it's not safe, it's not safe. Be on your guard, have your guard up. No, allow that feeling of peace and acceptance to filter through into the hearts and minds of those around you. And it's the most natural and simple thing in the world. It's very important with a Cancer placement that you don't get trapped in the mind and concepts and ideas about where this pain came from and where it may have been in my past life, in my trauma. I'm not trying to dismiss your trauma, but it really doesn't matter where it came from. It really doesn't matter if you can pinpoint a specific point in your past and then go into that feeling. The feeling is there. Go into the feeling for what it is. You don't need to have a story about a parent or a situation or a drama from the past. Just see it as suffering. It's that consistent suffering that all human beings go through. And kind of give that a smile, give that a wave, and then bring it in. Bring that pain inside and just say, look, I know I can deal with this. I know I have the capacity to cope. I know I'm able to allow any kind of vibration to just move through me. Just imagine yourself when you're on a plane and you hear a baby on the plane for the first time screaming its head off because its pressure in its ears is so intense, doesn't understand what's happening. It's a very, very strange, peculiar experience. And us as adults, we just sit there, we're just used to it. We're just completely fine with the fact that we're flying 10,000 kilometers above the earth. It's just the most normal thing in the world. And there is a sensation. There's a sensation in the stomach. That's actually a very good way to kind of test yourself about whether you're allowing yourself to feel your feelings. What you feel when you go up, you feel your stomach leave you, more or less. And it's very tempting to tense the body, to put your headphones on, to chew a sweet, to just ignore what's happening, but to just sit with that feeling. Or feeling an emotion doesn't look like punching a wall. It doesn't look like screaming in the face of a loved one. It actually just looks like whatever it looks like on the outside. Just when you look at a baby's face, just all the different expressions that come through, they're just allowed to flow out, and they're very, very instant, and they go. And then there's no need to attack any particular family member, because you have that layer of comprehension of where they're coming from, that extreme suffering and fear, paranoia, dread. And then you also have the knowledge that you are part of this, you were born into this, and this is ancestrally within your body. You can kind of detach that layer of personalized resentment from any given family member or teacher or person that you were around growing up, or government even. You can let go of that rage and tension that you feel towards any of these particular institutions, whether it's family, school, government, friendship group, gender, any of these labels. You can let that go. And then the next stage is just to be like a baby, just let it out, let it go. If you need to cry, take yourself to a room, without the intention that, oh, I'm doing this to hide my misery from others because I don't want to bring them down. And more with the, oh, this is a personal thing I'm going through, I need to be in my personal space, and there's no need for me to pour this out onto someone else. You know, they're not a dustbin. People treated me as a dustbin when I was a child. I'm not going to do that to someone else. And it comes from a layer of respect for other, rather than a fear and a need to hide and feel shame about your emotions. It's just a fact, just a place you need to go and be on your own sometimes to allow these things to fall out of your eyes. So just be extremely conscious at that moment when the tears are coming, and not to jump into your head. Sometimes the consciousness, we think, right, if I analyse this then I'll be able to deal with this. No, just have that inner knowing, like, okay, this is it's bin day, it's time to take the bins out, it's time to release myself of rubbish, and then it just can flow, it can just leave you. And punch a pillow if it's rage, cry if you feel grief, if you feel disappointed, allow yourself to feel that. Don't then create secondary emotions on top of emotions, stories on top of stories. Get to the kind of heart of the matter and just feel that genuine sensation. Write down, you know, if you are asked a direct question and you feel yourself not quite giving a complete response that is utterly true, just say the first thing out loud to yourself that comes to your heart, even if it's like do I want to be with my partner? No, I hate him! Write that down, feel that emotion, and then look underneath it, and then you can kind of drop down into, oh, well, that is just a layer of this fear and this dread that I've been carrying around. And instead you can start to kind of move down through these emotions, because generally that anger emotion is a very powerful place, so it seems. It feels like a very strong place to be, and then if you allow that anger to kind of bring that fire to your chest and then pass through you, then you feel underneath there are layers of other emotions that make you feel slightly weaker and less in control. But these emotions cannot control you as long as you are there to observe and be present with them. They control you when you think, I'm not like that, I'm not like that, I'm not like that, and then boom, the pressure cooker just boils and explodes and splatters itself all against your loved one, or someone in the queue at the supermarket, or a man on the telephone to the internet company. It just comes out in all these really extremely embarrassing and sort of jaded ways which don't quite gel with your own idea of yourself. Jupiter is all about expanding these parts of ourselves. In Cancer, it is all about expanding these parts of ourselves that are to do with the heart, to do with the mother, to do with the moon, to do with the acceptance of change, accepting the reality of change, not only as a fact that you can see happening all the time, day to day, in nature, in your body, in your state of being, if you're a woman, in your monthly cycles, but also the acceptance that, wow, I'm really capable of changing. I'm not my best self. And that's a wonderful thing to realise. I could be so much better. I could be so much calmer, so much happier, so much more in tune with my natural capacity to do things, in tune with my ability to harness the gifts that I've been given and take best advantage of the time in these cycles, and appreciate the downtime and the uptime and the kind of natural bipolar nature of the human mind and the human emotional system. Keep your nervous system in balance by constantly being there for yourself. Appreciate yourself, respect yourself, look at your time that you're giving to certain things in your life and say, well, is this really matching up with my values? Is this really matching up with how I feel my life should be? Simple things, but it comes back to simple things with Cancer, and bringing a magnifying glass to these areas of life which are just, I mean, for example, today, it's been raining for centuries, it feels. I've not been able to leave my caravan, and just giving everything a huge clean today and just spending the time nourishing my environment and lighting incense and all of these little things. It just does something to your mind, because you're telling yourself, I'm worth it, I deserve this, and you're clearing your outer space as you would clear your inner world too. So allow yourself to feel the nice things. Don't get too scared of losing them and being attached to them. Just allow the nice things to happen. Same as allowing the negative, dark things to happen. You don't know what's under that particular stone. If you allow it to just, there might be like a 5% negative emotion, and underneath that a huge gift of something, kind of a spring, a fountain of wealth just waiting under this particular little niggle that you don't want to touch. And it can be a huge gift. Don't allow the Cancer archetype to get muddled up with the mind and create a grand opera that you can then dance to and lose a lot of your time and going over memories. And these memories are very unreliable. Just look at the emotion. If you want to look at your memories, look at the emotion within your body. You're never going to get a completely clear knowledge of the truth of what happened. You're only going to be able to see your own emotions, which are what your reactions were in any given moment throughout your history. The only person who knows absolute truth is God, and it does exist. But I can only tell you through my skewed perspective as a human being. You have your own as a human being, and we're just trying to clear away the detritus and the debris to kind of get to a place which is really based on a foundation of truth, and observing the living, breathing, the dying of cells occurring within your body, occurring within your environment, and allowing that to just be what it is. Accepting death, accepting life, not living in this in-between state scared of both, but actually embracing both of these things. One final thing, because Jupiter is so much to do with truth and truth seeking. Why is it that we are so willing to accept the truth of something physical, such as gravity? If I fall off a bridge because I'm careless and I fall off a very high bridge, I'm going to die just the same as if I'm facing the water and I decide I'm going to kill myself and jump. The gravity works just the same, whether I have the intention or whether it's an accident. It's going to happen exactly the same. Why is it we don't see emotions as being governed in the same way as these physical laws? Our emotions work exactly the same way. There's a universality to suffering in something that we see as being extremely personal and extremely, it's all mine, it's all my burden to carry. We've all got that burden. Different colours, different shades, different blends, but ultimately it's suffering as suffering as suffering. And just coming to that place, that knowledge of an eternal life, that knowledge of an eternal school of opportunity to, I love this quote that says, maturity is having the ability to recognize a mistake when we make it again. This is the ability to it's not an idea that one day we're going to be utterly perfect. It's just we're going to be more and more able to see the things which are damaging ourselves and others and making life harder than it needs to be, little by little. As always, I have so much to say with the Cancer placement because it's such a rich and wonderful environment to be in. So don't ever allow yourself to feel shame for having any kind of Cancer archetype in which you think, but I have a niggle, I have something I need to explore, and other archetypes can come along and say, but it's all cool, it's all easy breezy, baby, don't worry about it. And it's like, no, but we can be concerned, and we can worry in a constructive way, which is to kind of want to pull back that curtain of Oz and want to see the truth, even though it's going to hurt. That pain is very, very constructive, because it's true. And truth is what you're looking for with Jupiter, with any Jupiter placement. Truth is not always exactly what you want it to be, but it is true. It is what it is. So augment your experience of life. Allow Jupiter to make yourself more full of life, more buzzing with energy, more buzzing with the joy and the fruit and the enjoyment of the fruit in the moment, and the acceptance of the pains if they come. The biggest pain happens when we try to not feel it, and we try to suppress it, and we try to hold it back. The same as if we try to desperately hold on to the good feelings. Just to allow everything to just flow through like a beautiful channel where it's just experience after experience. Because at the end of the day, who are we to say what is painful and what is pleasurable? We don't know. So if you would like to have a full reading with me, please do contact me. I do written reports, I do video reports, I do Zoom calls, and I do aftercare sessions for delving into specific areas of your chart at a later date, once I've really got to know your chart inside out. It's been a wonderful process doing these charts recently. I've had a lot of joy, and yeah, it's a blessing to be able to connect to you all, and I'm really glad that you enjoy my channel. And we're up to, at this point, 700 subscribers. So I love every single one of you. I'm really, really grateful. And please follow me on Instagram, me and Richie. We are _ineffable_else is the handle, and also on Facebook. So thank you so much. I will see you in the next one. Lots of love.